In today's world, we see nations battling for influence, expanding their territories not by sword, but through economic policies, military strategies, and global diplomacy. Leaders rise, decisions are made, and entire nations stand to benefit or fall, depending on their choices. But this struggle for power and influence isn't new. Thousands of years ago, in the sands of ancient Egypt, a pharaoh stood at the helm of one of the greatest expansions in the country's history. His name was Thutmose III, and his reign would forever change the course of Egyptian dominance in the ancient world. Thutmose III was not just a king who commanded armies. He was a tactician, a visionary, and above all, a patient and disciplined leader. His military campaigns into the Near East expanded Egypt's borders far beyond what anyone thought possible. How did he do it? And more importantly, what can we learn from his ability to navigate complex situations in a world of constant instability? Thutmose III's story begins not with his own reign, but in the shadow of another. His stepmother Hatshepsut ruled as pharaoh for over 2 decades. During this time, Thutmose served not as ruler, but as commander of Egypt's army. In these years, Thutmose observed, learned, and prepared himself. Rather than rushing to claim his throne, he patiently waited, perfecting his military and leadership skills. He took a back seat, quietly becoming one of Egypt's most capable strategists. His first lesson: leadership is not always about being at the forefront. It's about knowing when to observe, when to learn, and when to act.
So, he's just waiting for his turn while Hatshepsut's running the show. That's like waiting for your older sibling to finally move out so you can take over their room.
Yeah, except his room was Egypt, and his turn involved leading the most powerful army in the ancient world.
Yeah, probably thinking, one day, this throne will be mine. But no rush. I guess patience really is a virtue.
Or maybe he just didn't want the pressure. You know? Why start dealing with uprisings when you can hang back and let someone else handle the paperwork?
True, let Hatshepsut handle the drama while he sharpens his swords. Smart strategy.
Exactly. Today's leaders jump straight in, but Thutmose knew the value of waiting for the right moment. Slow and steady wins the empire, right?
When Thutmose III finally ascended to the throne, Egypt was not yet the dominant force it would soon become. His response was swift and decisive. His most famous military campaign, the Battle of Megiddo, was not just a victory of might, but of intellect. Facing a coalition of rebellious city-states in Canaan, Thutmose made the audacious decision to take his army through a narrow and perilous mountain pass, a move his enemies deemed impossible. By doing what no one expected, he achieved complete surprise. He surrounded his enemies and secured a victory that would echo through history. But the victory was not just about battle. It was about understanding the psychology of war. Knowing that sometimes the most dangerous path is also the one that leads to the greatest reward.
Because when you're leading an army, why not take the most dangerous route possible? Nothing says good leadership like, let's march through a death trap, guys.
Yeah, because when you've got an army with you, the best plan is definitely to take the road no one expects. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Right. It's like taking a shortcut through a haunted forest and hoping it leads to victory. A little risky, don't you think?
Only if you're not Thutmose. Apparently, when you're him, you just do the impossible and call it a day.
Guess that's why he's the pharaoh and not us. We'd be stuck in traffic, debating which route to take.
Yeah. And while we're debating, he's already conquered the city and moved on to the next one. Lesson learned: go bold or go home.
Thutmose III was not only a conqueror, he was a leader with a profound understanding of what it takes to sustain power. His military victories brought wealth to Egypt, but he knew that wealth and expansion are meaningless without stability. Thutmose had the discipline to see beyond immediate gains. He established trade routes, solidified alliances, and brought Egyptian culture to the regions he conquered. His vision was long-term. He wasn't just building an empire, he was laying the foundation for Egypt's continued prosperity, ensuring that his legacy would endure long after his reign ended.
So this guy's out here conquering cities, but in his spare time, he's setting up trade routes? Multitasking at its finest.
Yeah, because what's the point of conquering if you can't profit from it? Expansion without economic growth? That's amateur hour.
Right. He's like, we'll take the city, but first, let's talk trade agreements. That's next level strategy.
And it worked. He didn't just conquer, he invested in the future, ensuring Egypt's dominance for generations.
Smart. Build an empire, then make sure it sticks around. Today's leaders could use a bit of that long-term thinking.
Yeah, these days, most can't think beyond the next election, let alone the next century.
Thutmose III's leadership was not defined solely by military conquest. He was a master of diplomacy and knew when to strike and when to negotiate. While he expanded Egypt's borders, he also built alliances, maintained peace with key territories, and ensured that Egypt remained secure from threats within and without. In a world where every decision could lead to either prosperity or disaster, Thutmose understood that true leadership means navigating complex situations with patience and precision. Modern leaders are often caught in the whirlwind of instant results, pressured to act swiftly by public opinion and the media. Thutmose's reign reminds us that sometimes the best decisions come from restraint, careful analysis, and the willingness to play the long game.
So, he's juggling wars, trade deals, and alliances, and still keeping his cool? Where do I sign up for that leadership class?
Yeah, and while we're panicking over the next news cycle, Thutmose is probably thinking, why rush when I can outlast you?
Right? Today's leaders could use a little Thutmose in their life. Don't react, just wait them out.
Exactly. He mastered patience. While others were burning bridges, he was building them.
Patience, planning, and a few strategic conquests. Not a bad formula for leadership.
Yeah, just leave out the conquering part unless you're leading a fantasy football team.
Thutmose III was not just a military leader, but a strategist who understood the deeper complexities of power. He showed us that leadership is about more than conquest. It's about discipline, long-term thinking, and knowing when to take risks. Today's world is full of complex situations, but the lessons of history remain clear. Lead with wisdom, patience, and always think beyond the immediate win.
So, take a page from Thutmose, conquer the day, plan for the future.
Without the swords. Definitely without the swords.
Right, much less paperwork if you skip the conquering part.
Join us on an epic journey through time as we explore the lives and legacies of some of history's most legendary leaders, where we offer a deep dive into the figures who shaped the ancient and classical world. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more historical adventures, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.